Well, good evening, world of Twitch. We're in for something a little bit different tonight. It's not very often you see Assetto Corsa being streamed here, but tonight that's exactly what we're doing. It's the first AC event of the Jimmy Broadbent all-round series of events, and as you can see, it's from a very sunny and very lovely Sebring circuit in the US. So again, one of those tracks that we can't really bring you at the moment in the world of ACC. One of the joys of AC is all of the mods that are in there, and this one is a cracker. For those of you who've never been with us before, my name's Adam D, and I'll be bringing you coverage solo tonight, because Wednesday night there's not so many people around, but I'm here to bring this one to you and just generally have a bit of chat about everything that's going on. So let's take a look at what we have to offer this evening. We've got a ton of GTE action for you. Again, probably not something that you're very familiar with, but GTE cars, tonight it will be specifically the Corvette C7R, an absolute beauty of a car. And we will start to flick to the action as soon as some of these drivers get around at the start of qualifying. So just to explain how it works tonight, this is round 2 of the all-round series of events. Round 1 was, of course, on Monday night, won by our very own Wilbert van Oostenen, and that was an ACC event around Silverstone in what can only be described as torrential rain. Biblical, in fact. It was pretty horrendous. But tonight, nothing of the sort, because we're on Assetto Corsa, and we have a 15-minute qualifying session, followed by a 45-minute race, in which there will be one mandatory pit stop for these guys. Now, during that mandatory pit stop, they either have to take tyres or fuel. They can take both if they want, but either is the mandatory element, and we've now got some cars heading out onto their first laps. So there's a few quirks to streaming ACC, that's for sure. So bear with us whilst we get used to it all. But it's a little bit different to streaming AC, that's for sure. So we will be able to pick up some cars pretty soon. But we need to wait for them to complete their first laps around before we can actually switch between them on the timing tower that comes up on the left hand side. So in the meantime, it's just for me to say hello to you all. Hello, good evening. Captain Sparks, hi, how are you? Nice to have you along. And very soon we'll be able to show you some of the action from these cars. There's some really superb cars out on track tonight. These C7Rs are an absolute dream to drive. And Rob the Ace, I'm surprised to not see you in an American track, in an American car. How could we not get it more American for you, really? So I think we will start to get our first cars across the line any moment now, and then I can start to bring some of the action to you. As soon as somebody pops up on the tower on the left, then it'll be away we go. A lot easier when we get into racing scenario. It'll be much easier for us to switch between cars. You will notice in the background, coming out of the final corner, there's been a couple of cars that have had some wall-related issues, shall we just say. But I think we're waiting for this first car now. I think this is the first one that will cross the line here. And it's Stockham who does a 2 minutes, 0.884. Now, there were drivers down into the 159s in practice. And this car looking like it's picked up a little bit of damage as it's gone around. But we are now able to pick up some of this action for you and show you what's going on. just got done. Rob says just got done with the Camaro at Alton. 2 seasons from now will be interesting, won't it? Just indeed. Do you know what I can't wait for is we're counting down now to 23rd of March, which is what's that? It's next week, isn't it? Is that Wednesday next week? And that's when the update for ACC will come and bring us some new cars and some new action. So we'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, if you want to step outside of the normal ACC content, then there's nowhere better to go than its older brother, Assetto Corsa, because you can chuck in whatever content you want. So we're currently watching Patrick Stockham, who is the fastest driver on track at the minute, and is another 9/10 up on this lap. So looking like he has got some good pace. He's probably going to extend his gap at the top. Schwartz is second, 1.7 off the pace. Then it's Marek Chittel, who we've come across before in oNiD races. Then it's Overstreet, Rossing and Calzone. Could be Calzone, of course, but I'll go with Calzone for now. Stockham coming out of that final corner. Just avoiding the barrier on exit. Very nicely done. And he goes across the line with a 2 minutes .225. So lost a few tenths in the final sector. Still extends his gap to 2.4 seconds over this man, Till Schwartz, who is now just in front of him on the track. Let's pick up Marek Chittel as well, who is on a lap, but he's somewhat off of his own pace at the moment. Overstreet goes across the line and does a 2:06. And promptly runs off at T1, I think, ready to dive back to the pits. Covarrubias puts in a lap to go third, 2.8 off the pace, so Stockham looking pretty good at the moment. Exia GTF1, welcome along to the stream, nice to have you here. I've made sure that my alerts are turned on tonight, so if any of you follow for the first time tonight, then I will actually be able to say thank you as and when you do it. Unlike the other night when I forgot to switch the alerts on, but there you go. I did have a rowdy commentary box to deal with. Now, Curtis goes second with a 2:02.5. So there's a real grouping of pace, sort of second, third, fourth there. But your man Stockham is out front by quite some distance at the moment. And yeah, he's a little bit up on his best on this latest attempt to come through these fantastic fast S's section. If some of you have never driven Sebring before, I highly recommend it, and I beg and pray that at some point this will get added to ACC, because I'd love to take those GT3 beasts around Sebring. It's incredibly bumpy, but that's one of the charms of Sebring, really, the home of the 12 hours of Sebring. So Stockham finds another 3/10, pretty much, a 1:59.9. We've now got 11 times on the board. So Stockham from Curtis, then Schwartz, Calzone, Covarrubias, Chittel, Rossing, Overstreet, Zlachins, Boyd, and I'm going to try it. No, I'm not. You know when you're about to try a name and you think, I'm only going to make this worse if I give it a go. So, Leszczynisk? I don't know. I apologise. Covarrubias moves up to second. 2.1 now off Stockham's pace, so found a bit of time that time around. If anyone out there is good with the old Polish pronunciations, then spell it out phonetically for me in chat, see if you can help me out. Us British are not very good at speaking English, let alone trying to pronounce things in other languages. Alex Covarrubias drops it on the exit there as Chittel improves his time. Stays 6th, but it is an improved time. So let's go pick up Stockham, because Stockham is out there once again. Let's go on board with Stockham then. Morcillo goes 9th, so we've got 12 times on the board now. We did have a almost full roster of 28 cars earlier on today, but there have been some significant content issues with getting guys into the server. So unfortunately I think we've lost some people along the way as a result. You know, when you're nursing a 10-year-old sim with new updated content, then you're bound to have some issues every now and again. Les goes second. I'm going to call him Les because it's probably less offensive than trying to pronounce his surname. So Les goes second. Covarubia is third. Boyd goes up to fourth. Then Calzone is fifth. Schwartz sixth. Curtis now seventh. Chittle eighth. Rossing ninth. Bain 10th. Overstreet 11th. Morchillo 12th. Zlatins is 13th. And Clark now 14th. And you're absolutely right, Captain Sparks. The Scots do speak better English than the English. Just with a heavy accent, eh? So Stockham's going to come across the line and start another lap. As he comes through T1. Tricky braking zone here to find your straight line. Does it nicely. Finds the apex on the left. Clips the apex on the right. And another tricky braking zone. It takes that wider line to then turn in. Get on the power nice and quickly. For the second longest straight, sort of, on the circuit. Heavy braking for one of the slowest corners. Maybe just a little bit wider the apex there, but not too shabby. Take as much curb as you can. And we've now got 15 times on the board as Clark moves himself up to 8th. One of those corners on the track now where you're not really sure whether you're supposed to hit and take all that curb or not. Apparently the stream acting a bit choppy your end, so apologies for that. I don't know if that was just a temporary issue. I think it's more to do with AC than anything else, but seems to have just settled itself down now, so whatever button I just pressed seemed to have worked. So we'll stick with that. But Stockham now coming out of the final corner. Run out as wide as you can, as close to those barriers as possible, and he's half a second down on his best, but still getting some good laps in. Old Les still second. Schwartz now up to third, but that's not the line, my friend. Leschinski? Leschinski. Let's go with that. Leschinski. If it's you, then I apologise. So Zlatins now goes fastest. So a new pole position time as we head into the end of qualifying. A 1:59.6. So beats Stockham's time by almost 0.3 of a second. So be interesting to see what Stockham can do on this lap. He's pushing, that's for sure. Yeah, taking some grass for the composter. Yeah, good idea. Shove it in that big rear diffuser and then store some in the front radiator. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So here comes Stockham then. And where is he after Sector 2? He is down 1.1. So I think Zlatins may have just stolen pole right at the end. That's two Polish drivers first and third. Patrick Stockham in second. He's still going to see what he can do through the final corner, but he won't get round to start another lap. We are in overtime at the end of qualifying, and he puts it into the pits. So it's not Zlachins, it's Zlachinsky. Now you see the full name on screen. Zlachinsky then. Where's he on the circuit? Towards the end now. Big slide there for him. We have got 15 times on the board, so we will have a nice grid for this first AC event. Like I say, a bit of a shame that we lost a few drivers with some of the content issues, but these things are to be ironed out, and that's why we've started all of these things with social events, as everyone else dives for the pits as well. We didn't want to load it up with super serious sweaty events and then have an issue there, so glad we started with some more social events so that we can iron out some of these little things here and there. But for those of you that have joined us for tonight's stream, thank you for that. Great to have you along. We've got a few cars left out on track just completing their qualifying session, and then we will go racing. So I think Schwartz probably just cost himself some time there getting out onto the grass. I think we've got Schwartz, Boyd. No, Boyd is now in the pits as well. So Schwartz is the final car on the track, coming out of the final corner. This is your qualifying session just about done, and is this an improvement for Schwartz? It's not, so he stays fourth, only just ahead of Covarubia, but ahead all the same. Yes, Mr. Sparks. Do you know what? I have a sneaky suspicion on that front as well. I really hope I'm significantly wrong. But you never know. You never know. We might just have the safest and cleanest T1 that you've ever seen. But T1 at Sebring has always been an open chance for some sort of carnage. It is a standing start in this as well, so yeah, anything could happen. Crashes can be fun to watch, but yeah, when you're adminning an event, you want to see as little crashy as possible. But there we go. So this is your grid. They're all lined up and getting ready to go. It's about 35 seconds to go until the lights go out. So you'll see me trying to return to pits. That's because to be able to stream AC, you actually have to load up into the server as a driver and then jump out of it. There's no sort of spectator password element. So we're going to watch these guys get going, and then we'll pick them up as soon as we can. And I have no idea what happened there. Right, they are off and running then. And there we go, we can now pick up the action. So we don't know if there was an incident into T1 or not, but everyone looks pretty much alive to me. Yes, it does say penalty controls are locked for whatever seconds, but that's because it thinks I missed the start, whereas I didn't. I purposefully did that. Yeah, weird start, Sparks. Just AC things. You know, when you've got a game as old as this and you're trying to do modern things with it. As we see, Stockham and Zlachinsky going pretty hard at it into the corner at the end of the straight, but they've got through there together. So Stockham is into the lead then. Patrick Stockham into the lead. He was in pole for most of qualifying. Ended up dropping to second after Zlaczynski's last minute lap. Covarrubias was taking a look at Zlaczynski. But now the other Polish driver has taken advantage and got himself up into third. Covarrubias with a send back up the inside. Backs out of that last minute. But your race leader is Stockham from Zlaczynski, then Leszczynski. Then Covarrubias, who's now got Calzone right alongside him. And a few cars taking to the runoff through that section. Always tricky. And then finding a bit of dirt on the exit. But let's go back up to the front because Stockham having to go defensive into the final corner as Zlaczynski tries to find a way through. Getting a nice toe down the back straight. So many different lines that you can take through this final corner as well. So we'll see whose line works out best. Zlaczynski trying to go round the outside of Stockham. So he ran out a lot wider there, then takes the outside line and gets that one done. What a move that is. But Stockham will move back to the inside as they head into T1. Now Zlaczynski will try the old switcheroo on exit. What a battle between these two guys. Side by side for 3 corners in a row now. And Stockham now looking to the outside. Locks up, runs deep. And is now under a bit of pressure from Leszczynski right behind him. Princess JT, good evening. Welcome along. Nice to have you with us, as always. But look at Leszczynski now, right behind Stockham. Good racing from the front of the pack at this moment in time. Curtis makes up a position into 5th, moves up ahead of Bain. Good pass. We've just caught it in the background. It looks like Clark and Calzone are now going side by side. So Calzone has obviously had an issue somewhere along the line and has dropped right back. Lewis Clark has now made up that extra position. Calzone back to the inside. A little bit of contact, but nothing too bad. Now it looks like Calzone getting all a bit sideways as Leszczynski moves into second past Stockham. So a moment ago, Stockham was battling for the lead with Zlaczynski, and now he's dropped behind Leszczynski. Stockham now under a little bit of pressure from Covarrubias as well, with Curtis not too far behind as well. So battles up and down the field here. But your leader coming through for another lap. Not out quite as wide on exit, but getting very close to that tyre barrier on exit of the corner. He does the fastest lap, a 2:02.0. Good race pace, that one. Don't forget this is... Oh, but he's off. He's off into the wall at turn 1. That is our leader. Off at T1, and he is disconnected from the server. So we have lost our race leader now. So Leszczynski takes over the lead. Stockham right behind him. So I don't know whether that was a disconnect, whether that was a hardware issue, or whether he dropped it and then just thought, right, I'm not going to bother with that. Clark is into the pits. Now, hopefully he took notice of the fact that there is a pit window for the mandatory stop. So that was not his mandatory stop. Pit window opens in about 5 minutes' time. Here's your front 2 then. Leszczynski ahead of Stockham. Stockham might just feel there's a little bit of a reprieve there and an opportunity to still come away with a win here. Because Leszczynski looked like he was really moving away at the front. Of course, we don't know what strategies these guys are running. Calzone into the pits as well, so that could be damage. It could be a misreading of the pit window as well. Right now, this is our lead 3 coming round into the final sector now. So into the final corner then. Let's see the different lines they take here. Nobody taking that big, wide, looping line. Stockham looks a little quicker through that final corner than Leszczynski. Tucks in for the slipstream along the start-finish straight. Will he make a move into T1? He thinks about it and does send it. It's a bold move and there is contact. So Leszczynski is now off. But recovers back on track. Hopefully not too much damage there. But Stockham into the lead. It was a pretty robust overtaking manoeuvre. But he was up the inside into T1. So Covarrubias, Alex Covarrubias now up into second place. He's got his headlights ablaze. Making sure that Stockham knows that he's right there. Curtis is your man. Sorry, your woman is Tina Curtis. Sorry. Tina Curtis is there in third. Sorry, Tina. We've had you in some of our events before, so great to see you along for this one. Leszczynski will now try and move their way back up the field. Currently fourth, following that small incident through T1. I say small, not small for them. You got Boyd and Bain side by side here. Boyd holds on to that position ahead of Bain. Absolutely stunning cars, these Corvettes, and if you've not tried driving these before in AC, they are a great piece of machinery to get behind the wheel of. oNiD, we've previously had a series that included these. Fantastic to drive. Gap out front is 1.1, by the way, so we're not missing anything there. This one pretty close. Bain trying to take a look at Boyd as they come down towards the final corner. I wonder if he'll go for the out wide round the outside move. He thinks about it. And he's trying it. But I think Boyd there had a decent line. Patrick Stockham puts in a new fastest lap with a 2:01.7. We're watching Stephen Bain against Callum Boyd now into T1. So they come down this infield straight. I call it a straight, but big old curve in the middle of it, but you know what I mean. And they come down to one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit. Tricky little corner to get right, this one. And there is actually just at the end of that straight, there is a gate that leads out onto the main road. I don't know if you've ever seen the footage of the car that completely loses its brakes at the end of that, and actually ends up bursting through the fence and ending up on the road outside the circuit. I'm sure they've tightened that one up a little bit now, but it's well worth a search out and a look. Nobody was injured. It was just amusing. So let's go back to the front. Stockham extending his gap as he heads through the second half of this lap. Covarrubias second. Tina Curtis in third. Leszczynski is fourth. Boyd fifth. And still got Bain all over the back of him. Pit window now open, so they've got 25 minutes in which to take their mandatory pit stop. They will need to stop for either fuel or tyres or both. If they opt for the fuel option, then they need to take a minimum of 1 litre. As Stockham does a 2 minutes 0.9. That's a great lap. Overstreet, I think, has got into some issues. Chittle moves up 2 places now into 8th. Overstreet has dropped back and has now got Clark right behind him. Morchillo in the middle of that in 9th. But Lewis Clark looking for a move into the final corner. Gets a move done on Overstreet, so I wonder whether Overstreet has picked up some damage in an instant on that lap. Be interesting to see if anyone does take to the pits this time around. And there are a couple of cars in the pits, but I think that is, yeah, it's Calzone and Zlaczynski. So none of our actual race runners are into the pits. But Curtis up into second, Zlaczynski third. Covarrubias has spun it. He's getting back going again. These are difficult cars to tame for a full 45 minutes. And one of the problems with these cars is if you do spin it, very easy to then overheat the rear tyres, and as you can see there, the car becomes an absolute nightmare for a couple of laps whilst those tyres cool down. Zlaczynski in third, off as well. So some of these guys just may be struggling with the tyres a little bit as we get 10 minutes in. So Boyd and Bain now up into third and fourth. Bain runs out wide, but manages to hold that one quite nicely. So Boyd is now third. Bain running out wide again. And see, there you go. That's what I was talking about. Zlaczynski drops the car once more. No doubt the tyres way too hot after the spin earlier in that lap. Callum Boyd third, with Bain right there behind as Stockham does another fastest lap, a 2 minutes .630. Hello, Mr. Jelinek. Good evening. Welcome along. You're catching a bit of Assetto Corsa action here. The American flag waving over the start-finish line. Boyd and Bain's lap times fairly similar. These two have been going at it for a few laps now. Rossing now up into fifth. Covarrubias, the first of our drivers to be in for their mandatory stop, as you can see. This is your race leader, Patrick Stockham. Locking up at the end of the infield straight. It is nice weather today, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, you don't get the weather options on Assetto Corsa on SGP, so you know it's going to be warm, sunny and dry. If you do fancy joining us for some more of these Assetto Corsa events, then there's a couple of things to tell you about. Number one, oNiD Racing have got our very own Assetto Corsa League that starts on Monday. We are still taking registrations for that. Now, we have had the evaluation race already, but to maximise the grid size, we are still taking registrations for that. So you can get on that by getting onto oNiD Racing's simracing.gp page. And that is the Mazda MX-5 Asia Cup series, which promises to be utterly thrilling. Those cars are fantastic to drive, and there's some great circuits in that series as well. And then, of course, there's more events coming up in the Jimmy Broadbent all-round series of events. Monday we're back on ACC, and then Wednesday next week it's yet more Assetto Corsa action as we take the 1999 Volvo S40 BTCC car around, I think we're taking that around Chang, actually, which, yeah, we are. This is Overstreet and Schwartz side by side. That's Schwartz in the yellow car on the inside, trying to get a move done into the final corner. Like we've said already tonight, there's so many different lines that you can take through there. And we've got another car heading for the pits. I think that's Morcillo. Yes, it is. So yeah, the Volvo BTCC action next Wednesday. That one's on Jimmy Broadbent's simracing.gp page. And then we'll be back on ACC the following Monday. And then there's one final Assetto Corsa event right at the end of this month, which is the Praga R1 car around Thruxton. Now that will be one not to miss. There's quite a few signed up for that one already, so make sure you grab a spot in that one. The Pragas are so much fun to drive. Obviously very appropriate for Mr. Broadbent as well, given that he is a Praga official driver in the Praga Cup this year. Boyd and Bain still pretty close together. But Thruxton, for those Pragas, is going to be real entertainment. Oh, Mr. Jacques. It will be great to see you in a Praga at that one. Mr. Sparks, he's saying he needs to get some GT3 and 4 practice in, usually drive touring cars. Well, keep on driving the touring cars as well. Get yourself signed up to that BTCC race this time next week. So Boyd and Bain really having a great battle tonight. All the way through this race they have been stuck together. So we now pick up with Stephen Bain riding on board. So Schwartz and Overstreet are both in the pits, taking their mandatory stops. That moves Seva up to 9th. Morchillo, we've lost Morchillo. That's Morchillo, Calzone and Zlaczynski that we've lost from this race. Like I say, we were expecting some more drivers in tonight, but just unfortunate with some content issues that stopped some guys managing to get in tonight for the race. There were some of us that were fighting it right till the last minute, including myself, just getting the content sorted so that we could be in. Patrick Stockham goes even faster at 2 minutes .443. There's no slowing that man down at the minute. I wonder if Bain's going to dive for the pits this time round, or whether he's going to carry on. He's carrying on. He wants to stick with Boyd. Clark past Chittle. I can only assume that Chittle's made a mistake, because there's one heck of a gap between the two of them. But nice to see Marek Chittle in tonight's race. Good morning, Mr. Hydronox. Come along to see some Assetto Corsa action, have you? See how the real stuff's done right here. The Stockham has got one heck of a gap out front now. Of course, we still don't know whether Leszczynski will be able to fight back a bit towards the end. He was right up there with Stockham earlier on. Yeah, of course, Petter. It's good to see Marek with us tonight. So he's sitting 7th at the minute. I don't think he's taken his mandatory stop yet, so we'll see where he comes out after that. This is your race leader. And he's obviously not stopping this time around. Still getting out really close to that tyre barrier, so he's not hanging around. That is for sure. But Boyd and Bain still close together as they come down into this final corner. 24 minutes left of this one. For those that haven't stopped, there are 14 minutes left in which they need to get in and do their mandatory stop for either tyres or fuel. Or both if they so wish, why not? I think if I were racing this and doing the 45-minute, I would probably be taking tyres. So I have driven this car in a league before, and it did munch tyres a little bit. These two are as close together as they've been for a while. So Bain took a look up the inside there. Thought better of it in the end. Boyd gave him the racing room. Well, a little later on the brakes there than Boyd. But doesn't do the send. He's going to wait. Try and find a better place to get past. But these two have been going at it all race. Really good battle. If you are just joining us, then you missed an epic battle earlier on for the race lead. Side by side for 3 corners, switcheroo after switcheroo, great stuff. Unfortunately, the driver that then took the lead crashed out of the race, so he's no longer with us. So he's rivaling that Patrick Stockham is now in the lead. Stephen Bain gets very close to the back end of Boyd. Boyd now takes to the pits. So Boyd has obviously decided that he doesn't want to play that game any longer. So Bain, if I were Bain, I'd try and go as fast as I can on this lap and then jump in the pits and see if you can overcut him. The interesting thing will really be whether some of these guys are taking tyres or not. Oh, Bain pushing hard, getting out onto the grass. Mr. Thunder, good evening, sir. There is an epic clip of your politeness on our Twitch channel now. And yeah, Monday night stream was just clip heaven, basically. There's so many clips that came out of that one that I'm going to put a bit of a medley together of all the best. Here comes Bain getting much closer to the car in front. Now that is not Curtis. Curtis has dropped back, so he's either stopped or had an incident. I'm going to assume an incident because I don't think she's far enough back to have stopped, but she's now right with Cornelius Rossing. ACTV not coping with the umlauts in the surname. I think that's what they're called. Tina Curtis having a moment there, going off track. It certainly looked a bit laggy, actually. Hopefully not my connection. Oh, Hydronox, the clips are just so good. It was fun. The stream the other night, it really was. Not the most professional stream that I've ever taken part in, but it was fun. And I reckon there's probably about 5 or 6 really solid clips that came out of it. I could have... no, there wasn't anything about sausage, actually. Ne pas de sausage. Non saucisson. But there's plenty of other fun and games to be had that time around. Curtis is in the pits. Clark's in the pits. So that puts Marek Chittle up into 5th for the moment. And Tina Curtis is our latest retirement, unfortunately. So we're down to just 11 cars left in this one. You're absolutely right, Mr. Kovacic. That is the point, is to have fun. And that's why, look, we try and make our streams as professional as possible, but at the end of the day, we can have some fun, have a laugh whilst doing it, then why not? It's exactly what it's all about. And hopefully we bring some quality racing action along the way as well. Sparks, they're professional? Are you saying that our streams are professional, or have you listened to the clips? Because they're not. So you might have been being sarcastic in that regard. All of it. Lovely stuff. So 8 minutes of the pit window remaining here. 18 minutes of the race to go. So a nice short one tonight. Early start, early finish. Stockham with a huge lead now, 35 seconds. But like I say, we really... Leszczynski is the unknown here, because he took his mandatory stop early. Now, he had dropped down the order a bit after a robust move from Stockham to take the lead. But has good pace. But we also know that Stockham has had really good pace out front. Fastest lap after fastest lap earlier on. So Rossing pits, Chittle pits. You don't have a drink whilst watching us lot, in case you spit out your drink all over the screens. Well, we're glad to be of service. I'm sure on Monday we'll be back to the... Well, no, Monday will be just myself and Johnny. Because Jimbo's gone and put himself on holiday. He's over at Lake Como at the moment, the lucky git. He sent us all a little video from his balcony earlier. And just, so I hope that he's having a wonderful time. None of us are jealous at all. But yeah, so Monday night for the next round of the Jimmy Broadbent all-round series of events will be ACC. It's the KTM GT4 around Zolder, if I remember rightly. Do you know what, Sparks? I'd love one of those myself. I really would. That would be great. Yeah. So I'm actually, hopefully, I think Bain takes to the pits, by the way. But I should be away this weekend in London. So some of you know I've got a couple of businesses. One of them being rail stuff, and I'm off to a big event at Alexandra Palace in London this weekend. Hopefully, my dad, bless him, he's coming here to pick me up and take me down there because I still have the old broken foot, so I can't drive myself. And the reason I mention it is he's coming in his motorhome so that we can, well, it'll be a bit easier to load than taking my car with the trailer with all the stuff into central London. So, yeah, hopefully tomorrow I will be loading up that motorhome with him. I say hopefully because my mum, bless her, has gone and tested positive for COVID. So we've now got to hope that she stays okay and that my dad stays negative testing, and hopefully I can still be away this weekend. But we will wait and see. And you're right, Thunder. The Beeb does have a lot of faults, but yeah, he's pretty good. One of those things that we can be proud of as Brits, I think. Beeb. used to be one of my aims was to go and work for them. Used to be, if you worked for the BBC, you had a golden handshake, a job for life. It's not quite the same anymore. So waiting for some of these pit stops to shake themselves out. Stockham's still yet to stop. Let's just hope that he has noticed that there is a mandatory stop in this. He should have done. And JT, I laughed a lot during that stream as well. I don't know if you caught the interviews at the end, but at one point I had to go on mute because I was absolutely killing myself with laughter. Yeah. And Thunder, it's not Johnny who's gone on holiday. It's Jimbo. And I am jealous. Yeah. Oh dear. I can imagine Sparks just reading your comment there about you converting it yourself. Don't do it. Get a ready-made. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they look great fun to convert yourself and to make into what you want, but yeah, I can imagine that being hard work. Yeah, no Johnny tonight because he plays pool on a Wednesday night, believe it or not. Johnny doing sport? Yes, it's pool, where you can drink at the same time. That's where Mr. Ashley is tonight. So Stockham, I wonder if he's going to take to the pits this time around. No, he doesn't. He's going one more. That's going to be tight. If he makes a mistake on this lap here, then he's in all kinds of bother. If he were to make a mistake and then miss out on the pit window, then that would be a real tricky situation for Stockham. I don't know why you'd push it so far. Why wouldn't you have just taken the stop on the last lap just then? No, pool. Definitely pool and not polo. I thought of Johnny playing polo. I'm just wondering whether it's the polo on a horse or a water polo. Either way, it's not a great image, to be frank. The Stockham has got some smashed windows on that Corvette of his, but he's 1 minute 11 to the good at the moment. A penalty for not stopping, I think in AC, is actually disqualification. I know in ACC it tends to be a 130-second penalty, but I think in AC it's a straight disqualification. Now let's hope that doesn't happen, because we don't want to lose any more drivers. We've already lost Curtis, Morchillo, Calzone and Zlaczynski. So Stockham has got a minute left to get back to the pits and dive in. Good evening, by the way, Burning Skull. Yeah, I shall try my best not to spew all over the screen. Thank you, Thunder. So, Stockham has to pit this time around, or else it is big trouble for him. He is going in. So, he has they left it to the point where there was 28 seconds left on the clock to get into the pits. Bravery right there, isn't it? So, Callum Boyd is your man in second. Covarrubias third. Bain fourth. So Bain has lost out quite a bit during the stops, but has picked up some damage. So I wonder if he has had an off somewhere along the line. Cornelius Rossing fifth. Zlaczynski is sixth with Clark seventh. Schwartz eighth then. Marek Chittil not far behind in ninth. And you got Luca Seva in 10th, and Overstreet is 11th. Stockham coming out of the pits now, and I think we'll maintain a pretty strong lead. He does indeed. Nobody in his sights, either front or backwards. So just over 9 minutes to go for Patrick Stockham to bring it home for a race win. He looked quick all the way through practice and qualifying. Had a couple of challenges, one of which took himself out of the race. That was Leschinski. The other one, Leschinski, would probably say that he was nudged out of the way by Patrick Stockham. But then Leschinski, don't really know what happened to him after that, but he is now up into 5th. Fifth place for Leschinski, recovering from those earlier problems. But even since Stockham took the lead early on, his pace has been relentless. We've seen him lock up a few times and probably get a few flat spots on particularly the inside right of that Corvette, but at one point he was putting in fastest lap after fastest lap. Leschinski now up to 4th. I think Bain must have had an issue. Yeah, he's picked up some damage there, so Bain has had a problem. Leschinski now recovers all the way up to 4th. A good recovery for him. Boyd has been solid all night and sits 2nd. He might just be looking in his mirrors though, because Covarrubias not too far behind. Covarrubias not taking the entirety of the track that time around. Easy to run out wide there, but actually seemed to gain a little bit of time from it. Here comes Alex Covarrubias. Out nice and wide to the barrier. Let's go on board for a lap with Alex Covarrubias. So Alex Covarrubias is just closing up on Callum Boyd a little bit. We come into a tricky section here, so let's hope that Covarrubias gets it right this time. He does. Takes that lovely wide line there, using all of the track and a chunk more, as they do in real life. Going to switch back to Marek Chittil now, because Marek is closing up on Schwartz in 8th. So we've got 2 really good battles. In fact, we've got more than that. Look at these 3 together. Rossing, Clark and Bain all together. The Bain has just dropped back off of this one a little bit momentarily, but Rossing has just got past Clark. But now Rossing runs out wide, so Clark will try and switch back and get a good run down the straight. Looks to me like he's got good drive out of that corner. And gets to the inside already, halfway down the straight. But we already know there are several lines that you can take through this final corner. That looks to me like Clark has the move done and repasses Cornelius Rossing. So that's that one done. Let's go back to Schwartz and Chittil, because they're pretty close together as they come down this back straight as well. Cross the bumps. And Chittle trying to take that tighter line in. Schwartz likes the wider line. And now Chittle will take a look into T1. He does. So this is where our leaders collided earlier on. And these two do exactly the same. So Chittle, unfortunately, gives a little punt to Till Schwartz. Schwartz into the barrier. And returns to pits. So we lose another car from this one. Back to second and third. Boyd and Covarrubias now right together. And you're right, Petter. These Corvettes do look great. They sound great. They drive great. They are fantastic. Fully recommend them. But look at Covarrubias now. Moving to the inside into the final corner. The move initially done, but what can Callum Boyd do on the exit of this final corner and down into T1? I don't know, but it looks to me like Covarrubias may have got second taken. Sorry, it's Covarrubias. The timing tower on the left keeps cutting off parts of people's names and then I get them wrong. It's the timing tower's fault, not mine, promise. And yeah, Petter, I think you might be right. Did a little bit too much elbows there. Boyd not dropping off the back of Covarrubias yet, so still obviously thinking about whether there's a chance of a move back. On board now with Callum Boyd. We've got 2.5 minutes left of this one. And then we're done for tonight. Anyone who's interested in the oNiD Racing ACC Rookies League, by the way, you've got until Friday evening to sign up for that one. If you are going to sign up, then it's well worth turning up tomorrow night. There is a social race and induction night to meet some of the coaches and to get a better idea of how the rookies season works. Oh, as Covarrubias runs wide, Boyd now gets the old switchback and... oh, lovely cutback in front of Covarrubias. Gets that move done. What will Covarrubias look to do now? So Stockham starts what will be the final lap. You don't think you'll have a PC by Friday night. Hey, spare kidneys, trade them in. Don't need those. Covarrubias then all over the back of Boyd and they've got a back marker just ahead of them. Covarrubias with a big send into the final corner. Good racing from the pair of them. No contact at all. And they carry on just fine out the final corner. So Callum Boyd still holding on to second. Alex Covarrubias in third. Good work from the back marker to get out of the way. I think that might be Sever or Overstreet, one of the two. Great job, whoever it was. Now, flash of the lights from Covarrubias. That's not necessarily in the gentleman playbook, is it? Till Schwartz has now disconnected. So, yeah, we have lost Schwartz. So we're down to 10 to finish this race. And, yeah, Covarrubias still flashing the lights. That one is not cool. But, yeah, some people think it's acceptable. I suppose it's one of those things, if you watch series like British Touring Cars, and they're all doing it all the time, it's one of those things that really winds me up. Well, not really today. It just winds me up ever so slightly. Stockham, by the way, is coming down into the final corner. So we'll pick him up in just a moment, but we want to keep an eye on this battle for P2. Stockham now coming out the final corner, and Patrick Stockham is going to take the win. He does. So Patrick Stockham is your race winner tonight. Look at the gap back he has got to Callum Boyd and Alex Covarrubias as these two battle over the second and third steps of the podium. Well held in the background there, by the way, by the back marker. Good job. Callum Boyd, though, is still holding that second place. What's Covarrubias going to do into the final corner? Is he going to go for a send? No, he doesn't. He thought about it, but I think Boyd, with a good piece of defensive work, but there is contact coming out of the corner. I sincerely hope, Covarrubias, you are going to wait and let Callum Boyd go through, but you're not, are you? Or you are. Very nicely done, sir. Well done. No harm, no foul in the end. Nice close racing all the way to the end in that one. It was a nice fight, Petter. Small incident at the end, but yeah, fair play to Alex Covarrubias letting him back through. Leszczynski will feel a little bit hard done by after contact between Stockham and Leszczynski. When Leszczynski was in the lead. But since then, he hasn't quite managed to recover as much as he might have hoped. But fourth is a decent result. Lewis Clark across the line in fifth. Cornelius Rossing takes sixth. Marek Chittil then. He's going to take seventh, I think. Here he comes. Chittle across the line in seventh, and Bain across the line in eighth, and Sever and Overstreet have already finished. So that is the racing done for tonight. So yeah, something a bit different to bring you tonight. AC action, Corvettes, Sebring, but always worth a look. So hopefully you guys found that interesting to watch. It's always good to capture from my point of view as well, and great to interact with some of you guys as always. Yeah, that is actually our stream done for tonight. So a really short one. We're finishing before 9 o'clock. How about that? So just over an hour's worth of action here on the oNiD Racing channel, bringing you one of our Jimmy Broadbent events. But for tonight, I've been Adam D, and this has been round 2 of the Jimmy Broadbent all-round series of events. Join us on Monday. That's our next stream, I believe. And that will be for round 3 of this series. Where we'll be bringing you, wait for this, a whole field of KTM GT4s around Zolder. Interesting. So come join us for that one. But for now, thank you to everyone who's watched. Thank you for the nice comments. Have a great night, and speak to you all soon.